Hi, everyone. Week 42 of 2021, and this is the Zilliqa Weekly Update with Amrit Kumar. I'm your host, Chase Raz. We want to jump right into it. Hi, Amrit. It's good to see you again this week.
Good to see you too.
I promise I now know that your background does always contain what's behind you. I don't know why I never noticed that until week 3 of our recording, but here we are. I'm super embarrassed to have gone back.
That's why you focused on me rather than on my background.
That's right. That's right, Amber. I'm so focused. I'm a very focused individual. No one who knows me says that. So what about, are you a pretty focused person?
I do get distracted. I used to be very focused, but now, there's so many things happening all over the place. I do get distracted very quickly.
Too many shiny squirrels, and what are all the jokes? But I'm serious about that. Like, if you put something shiny in front of me, I'm like a baby. I'll just turn my attention to it. Do you do that?
I wouldn't say so, but messages do distract me because I would like to see what everyone is doing, and when something goes off, that puts me off as well. So I do get distracted by messages.
Everyone in crypto knows that. That's why none of us sleep, and we're all on way too much caffeine, and our doctors are all probably very mad at us. So this week, speaking of our doctors being mad at us and not sleeping and all of that, let's talk about something that's really going to amp people up, much to their doctor's chagrin. Zilliqa has announced a partnership with Ninjas in Pyjamas, a Swedish, I believe they're Swedish, right? Swedish esports troupe. So let's start at the beginning. Walk me through this. What Ninjas in Pyjamas? Let's start right there.
Yeah. So look, I think if you compare, I think the reason why we started to look into, credits to Matt and Milan, who have been working on this for months now. We realized that, of course, there's a sports, sector that, we tried to target some time back. And then we felt that there is also an area which is esports domain, which also is equally interesting, mainly because if you try to find the intersection between, I think I saw someone commenting about that on one of the Telegram channels as well. I think that person really nailed it in some way. If you compare the user base or the consumer base of esports and crypto, there is quite a bit of intersection. And the reason is the crowd, the user base that goes into esports, that plays games, is that millennial Gen Z kind of crowd. And that's also a crowd which is heavily into crypto, right? Which also kind of becomes a very interesting sector to target in terms of crypto applications. So I think this is where, this is why we started to look into parties and players in the industry, which are into esports, which are doing esports, and try to see if they had an appetite for blockchains. And it could be NFTs, it could be other things, right? But we wanted to see that if there's an appetite for that crowd. And we found, a friendly partner in the form of NIPs. And this is where, the whole thing started.
Did Zilliqa initially reach out? You mentioned Matt and Milan, Matt Dyer, Milan. How do you say? Okay, Milan is going to email me a nasty email. How do you say his last name? Shokri?
I call him Shokri. Yes.
Shokri. Milan, if that's not how we pronounce it, please let me know. So send me that nasty email. But those two individuals, do you happen to know, did they originally reach out to NIP, of course, Ninjas in Pyjamas there, or did NIP reach out to Zilliqa, or what was the synthesis of?
It went through the communication, and the discussions happened through, the middlemen, let's put it that way.
Okay.
And
can we know their names? No, of course not. Of course we can't.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't put the name in public. But yeah, they have become really good friends now. And but yeah, the connections went through them. And then after that, we started to discuss with NIP, initially with the business team there. And we were trying to convince them to go beyond the traditional hype of blockchains the way most people see, right? And this is why we felt that the NIPs were a really good partner. We have been talking to several esports companies as well, and NIP really clicked for us because we felt that they were not there because they felt, okay, blockchains, let's go with blockchains. Everyone is talking about blockchains. We have to put blockchain's name in front of our investors and so on. No, that was not their angle. They really wanted to see if they could build a new engagement model for their fans or for the people who follow their players, right? And so that was kind of the angle that really clicked for us. And so yeah, short answer is through a friend of ours.
Okay, through intermediaries. We'll have to leave. I know that's the best I'm going to get right now, so I won't push that issue. But one thing I do want to push just a little bit on is the question that I think is in a lot of people's minds right now, because NIP has mentioned the bringing together of the digital and the physical worlds, and I think that's a common trope in esports and in the blockchain, also in mixed reality to some degree. By the way, for anyone wondering if I'm throwing in an Easter egg, no, that's just me off the top of my head. The question for you, Amrit, is what exactly are the tangibles within the partnership? I know we don't know I imagine we don't know everything yet. It doesn't seem like we do, but what are some of the tangibles we can or should be expecting? Where does this go?
Well, there are a lot of things planned. Again, everything is currently sort of secret, but will be revealed at different stages. There are a few hints there in the video itself that NIP released. So if you go to their Twitter profile, you'd see a sort of teaser video there. You could see some hint of what's planned there. But yeah, unfortunately, I can't reveal everything that's being planned there. But the idea basically is, if you think about, esports, you have basically two kind of areas. One is, so esports teams like NIP, they have their own players, and these players are basically influencers in their own realm, right? And so there are, for example, matches or competition or tournaments that these players go and play. Right. And many people who are fans of Counter-Strike and whatnot, you go and watch some of those matches, right? And in fact, if you go and watch some of those matches, which basically happens and, is televised on Twitch, which is basically the YouTube for gamers in some way, you'd see a lot of crypto activities happening in terms of advertising as well. So a lot of crypto companies are advertising in that business, in that industry. So there's a lot of, one is this influencer angle that you can play, so as a player who wins all these big championships, you want to be able to connect to that influencer. And then obviously, then there's this, content management in some way. So there's a lot that needs to be sort of, you'll see and will be released hopefully soon by the NIP team. But the idea is basically to engage better with the fans and better with the players, that build that engagement between players and fans.
Is there any indication of what's going to come first, right? Are we simply looking at the announcement right now and then more of the details will be revealed? Or are there some things that immediately manifest? Like, is there going to be the cool Zilliqa logo on their uniforms? I mean, is that going to happen?
Yeah, there are obviously some sponsorship that's there. So you will see logos, Zilliqa logo in there. But I think other details will come out one after the other. It's not just a one-off partnership, but it's a partnership where we are going to build certain things together.
Is this some type of indefinite partnership, or is there some type of, I imagine in the contract, there's got to be some type of time allocation. Is that public?
Yeah, it's currently a timed partnership, but long enough for us to all of us to see the fruits in some way. And there will be sort of multiple fruits. So it's not just going to be apples, but you will also see oranges as well. So it's
okay.
It's going to be a tree that will bear multiple.
I'm a cryptic person too, but I'm not sure what that means. And and I don't want to tease you about it, but really, I'm not sure what that means. We're not just seeing apples, but also oranges. Is that an indication? Right now, I probably should stop talking so you can get into that hole a little bit deeper. But I'll phrase it this way: is that an indication that there's something unexpected, or is it much more surface level than that there are just multiple avenues that this partnership can take?
Well, it's just not for, so just to be clear, it's not pure for sponsorships. It's not just for Zilliqa logo to appear on merchandise. That's right. One tiny bit of the 99% that you would see. So 99% is the real need, and we'll see hopefully again, that sponsorship obviously brings Zilliqa to the forefront of people watching some of those esports matches and tournaments. But there's a lot more beyond that that will help build engagement between fans
and to be clear, though, a lot more, and some of that will involve on-chain something or another.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. But we don't have any details of. Well, I don't have any details of that. I imagine
hopefully very soon, NIP would be able to release some of those information.
Okay, so I'm not getting any details
in stages,
on that.
So it's not just one-off. You would see different stages as well.
Right. So Amrit, with the alignment to Zilliqa that NIP has with Zilliqa, you mentioned something a few moments ago about them not being like other teams. Now, that's not, necessarily a knock on other teams out there, but we know that a lot of businesses, a lot of esports teams, a lot of anybody can be struggling to figure out what to do with blockchain technology. You mentioned something, though, a few moments ago that indicated that they're a little bit different. Is this something that you see? Do they have a long-term vision, or does that mean they're more realistic about what blockchain is and is not? Or what are some of the sentiments behind that idea you were conveying?
Yeah, so we have spoken to almost all esports team, the biggest esports team out there today, and it was very clear to us. Again, not to badmouth anyone here. It was very clear to us that many of the teams or many of these companies are, you can call them enterprise or established companies, they're still struggling to come to terms with blockchains in the sense that what can we do with it? Or is it just for NFTs? Is it for something else? How does esports and gaming actually connect with blockchains in a meaningful way? And it's not about building a game with blockchains inside it. That's not about that, because these companies, they are not building games, right? These are not Sony and these are not Microsoft. These are not building games. So they are trying to figure out, and most of the teams are trying to figure out how blockchains fits in their business model. And I think which you will see hopefully very soon, is NIPs really have mastered it. When we're talking to them, they came back with an idea that clicked us. Even from a blockchain angle, we felt that, okay, these guys get it. These guys understand how blockchains could be used in a meaningful way in that industry.
So not only, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's not one of those enterprises who are still sort of struggling to come at terms with blockchains, but they really knew how to get blockchains and the technology to sort of engage their fans and engage with their, build a better engagement model between their fans and their followers. I think that was very powerful and very impressive that Hicham and team have from NIP showed to us.
That's really good to hear, and that's very, I think, positive news for everyone. What I had been cutting you off with was I was going to ask, so it seems like they're not just digital natives, but really crypto natives as well. They understand it. Do you have any sense that they or their management or the business partners are already involved in crypto in some way, or potentially that they just knew of?
For sure. So yeah, I mean, no, the good thing is, Hicham, who is the CEO of NIP, he has been in the finance world for a long time before he joined NIP. But, when I was talking to Hicham and the team, it was very clear to me that it's not a company to whom you have to explain and convince them to go and do something on Zilliqa or on a blockchain. They knew what they wanted to do. So it was kind of the other way. It was not a traditional company, who have to, where you have to make pitches and you have to make all sorts of ideas and it's okay, which one clicks for you. It was for them basically making a pitch to us in some way. So they knew exactly what they want to do, which was very impressive for me.
So circling back one more time, because I just have to try apples and oranges. Is blockchain just for NFTs for these types of organizations or something else? I'm getting a sense that there is something else. What did you tell them when you had that conversation? Oh, it's not just for NFTs. We can also. How did you finish that sentence? I'm just going to try to pull out as much as I can.
Yeah, obviously, NFTs is just one play, right? But the good thing about, as I said, the good thing about gaming is it so well connects with this virtual world that we're building, right? And around you call it NFTs, you call it metaverse. It basically connects with that domain. So I think that's where we honestly didn't have to convince anything. They already knew pretty well what they wanted to do, which was really good for us, because then it was let's move on with this. Let's start working on building something interesting.
That's really exciting. I mean, really, truly, when you say that, it almost gives me, this sense of energy and that I can feel all through my body, because when you say they knew, it makes me curious about the internal organization. Are they serving, right? And I've never asked this before, but does Zilliqa internally use some type of Scrum or Agile methodology? Or you're nodding yes, so I'll just continue with that. When your partners here, NIP, when they come in, are they going to serve as sort of the project manager? Are they going to serve as in Scrum what we would call the product owner? Is that the role they're going to fill, or is that still going to be internal and they, remain as the exterior client or the external client? What's the dynamic there in terms of?
So this is a partnership that's not just for the name. And what I mean, and this is something, a partnership very similar to kind of switch-your partnership, or very similar to an an XSGD partnership, where both parties come together and contribute in meaningful ways. And so we would see, and you would see, them contributing in very tangible ways, in the same way Zilliqa will be contributing. So I think it's not going to be, of course, it's their project. They are going to develop a few things for their own client and consumer base, but a lot of that will be on Zilliqa. And that connection, making that possible, is something that Zilliqa will provide. So helping them out with different bits and pieces that they definitely, at this point, may not have it. So we will have to provide those bits and pieces that they will need. But it's going to be a collaboration where both sides will put their hands together and make sure that this, we build something together and benefit both sides.
And so just to clarify for everyone watching that, in anybody's experience, anybody who's worked with clients, partners, we all know that there are different classifications of them. And that doesn't mean there's a partner that's better or worse than other partners. So I want to, with that knowledge, steer into one of my last questions here, which is, with this type of partner, again, not better, not worse, but with this type of partner where it's all hands on deck, very integrative between the multiple organizations, how do you see that type of partnership helping to fulfill the vision of Zilliqa? Where does it help Zilliqa go? Where does it help the team internally go? This specific type of partnership, what are some of the benefits? Because you mentioned some other partnerships that are in the same category, but what are some of the benefits of this type of partnership that become tangible?
Yeah, so this one is particularly interesting because they already have an existing user base behind them. So they already have a follower base that follows what an IP does on a daily basis, and they're engaged with their fan base. And so the idea would be to sort of get access to that consumer base and bring them over to Zilliqa. So whether it be, getting NFTs on Zilliqa, whether it be something else, but transactions that they would be making would be coming over to Zilliqa. So it's basically expanding our user base from what we have to something bigger that an IP has behind them.
Does that fit into your model of turning holders into users because it seems like it fits both sides, right? If somebody's an investor in the blockchain, in the Zilliqa blockchain, we love seeing this because we know here come more users. And that's a wonderful thing. That's exactly what people are investing in this type of L1 token for, wanting to see that churn, wanting to see the utilization of the token. But at the same time, there are a lot of people who invest and they want things for themselves. They want to be entertained, occupied, made more productive for themselves by holding the token. And it seems like this does a little bit of both, or a lot of both. Is that assessment fairly correct?
Yes. Especially gaming, if you think about it, because of COVID, I was reading some statistics on which industry has benefited from COVID. Obviously, Netflix has made a lot of money from COVID. And the second industry is, so basically streaming industry. And the second one is the gaming industry, right? People have spent a lot of more time into getting involved in buying games and so on. That industry has really benefited from COVID, and I think we're trying to utilize that in some ways. That's number one. Number two is, of course, DeFi has given not just Zilliqa, but I think broadly speaking, blockchain a different perspective. People feel that DeFi have changed the way people felt in terms of applications that could have been built on Zilliqa, on blockchains. But what has really happened with DeFi is it has ended up becoming very focused around developers, and very focused around a certain niche user base that knows how to steer around different impermanent loss and CD, your debt positions and so on. While there is a need for applications that's for average users as well. There's a need for applications that anyone can use without requiring, as I repeat, requiring to watch a 1-hour tutorial video done by Chase, for example, right? You need applications that simpler, that doesn't require you to be a Goldman quant to be able to use it. And I think, bringing some of these applications like NIPs that they're planning to build, I think hopefully that will bring the regular average user as well. That one, I'm not saying that these average users are users who are still dealing with paperwork, but these are users who are still digital. They know how to play games, they know how to interact with different things online, but we'd like to bring them, build dApps that are easier from them to use as well. So I think this is one of the vision that partnerships like NIP will fulfill for us.
Well, it's a big space. It's a big blockchain. It's a scalable blockchain. There's plenty of room for everybody, and I can't wait to see them. Amrit, any final words or comments you want to put in about this topic before I give the viewers a couple of things they can follow up on and places they can go to see more information about what we're talking about?
Yeah, so NIP obviously is a start. It's not the end. You will see more similar kind of, not necessarily esports, but you'll see similar applications that are for average user to use. And we are definitely focusing a lot on that. So hopefully a few more announcements will come in the due course around these initiatives.
I can't wait to see them, and I can't wait to talk about them in upcoming weeks. For everybody wanting to know more, head over to Twitter, either to Ninjas in Pyjamas, their Twitter handle, or Zilliqa's, because there is a video that is going around, this teaser video, and I have heard directly from someone who's in a frame on your screen with me right now that I will not mention, that there may be a couple of Easter eggs in there. Is that true, Amrit? Are there a couple of teases? Maybe not full Easter eggs, but teases?
There are a few things in the video that I think if you look, you would understand where it's going.
And that, hey, that's out there. They put that out there. Zilliqa has it out there. But also, if you're in the Zilliqa space and Twitter's not your thing, feel free to head over to Reddit. I know that Milan has posted the video in the Zilliqa Reddit as well. Or you can just go to nip.gl if you want to find out more about Ninjas in Pyjamas. I love the name, but nip.gl is their website. So, Amrit, as always, thank you very much, and I hope to talk to you again next week.
My pleasure. Thank you.